CP if you don't need controller craftsmanship, and of course the red one for extra control just in case. So experiment with different foods when you're going to doing the new nodes and the new recipes for crafters. Okay, so these are the foods and of course the pots that I definitely would recommend and having multiples of just in case. When it comes to doing collectibles, the Everseeker set should be enough to go back and do those without needing the extra boost. And of course now, even though I'm not fully melded with the Everseeker set, I did go ahead and meld my hands, legs, and feet, and remelded my accessories. I'll be doing a proper meld video when I get the tools and of course the head and body piece taken care of. So, because the hands, legs, and feet were pretty easily capped, I went ahead and melded them. So for my hands, I went with a Perception 12, Gatherer 12, Gatherer 12, and Gather 11, and capped out Perception with a Perception 11. For the legs, you can cap out both Gathering and Perception, so I went with a Gatherer 12, Gatherer 12, Perception 12, Gatherer 5, and a Perception 4. And as for the feet, I was able to cap Perception, but...
New and sure. Drink 2 servings daily. Keep your muscles and immunity in their prime.
Limitless savings for shopping, rides, movies, gaming, and more.
This video, I'm going to be doing my usual patch note overview for the preliminary patch notes for 7.2. I apologize if this is a little more painful for me to get through. I'm feeling incredibly under the weather. I have a sore throat, which means that I probably shouldn't be reading the patch notes for an hour. And I'm so tired. I slept like over half a day yesterday, and I still feel really tired. But it's a busy day, and I powered through worse. I usually get over being sick pretty quick, so we got a lot to get through. Might as well just skip the formalities and just start scrolling down, because we're always looking for like the random quality of life stuff. Stuff in here, because I think for the most part we know what we're gonna get. Like new main scenario, that's a great image. This image is so memeable, right? Oh, it hurts to laugh. That is such a great first image. That could be a Twitter meme all on its own. We have the crown itself, which was, you know, something we talked about back when Dawntrail's story initially ended. We have the Arcadian. This to me looks like Brute Bomber is actually coming down with his sickness from competing, which might support the theory that he is one of the bosses again, but he's like the super transformed version. We've got some of our other competitors. We got Black Cat. We got the announcer. You know, this is all just like tiny previews. Here's the quest. Here's a picture. Like, there really isn't much to say. Now it'd be possible to perform repairs and access weather forecasts while doing New Game Plus. Yeah, New Game Plus is this weird restriction on a lot of stuff. So I'm not too surprised to see they finally doing away with some of them. I didn't realize you couldn't perform repairs. Not something I usually do in New Game Plus, but or especially accessing weather forecasts, but it is what it is. They're updating the rewards for maps. They do this every patch. Same with the actual treasure inside of the treasure dungeon. No surprises there. Subaquatic voyages get new areas. Max rank goes up. That's all normal. SSAO can now be disabled for indoor furnishings. The setting applies to all who... Yeah, you can see the shadows. Wow. Big difference in shadow quality. Adjust this setting via the interiors. Oh, so it's like a specific thing. So if you just want a different type of lighting for housing, that's kind of cool. However, The one housing update we haven't heard about, I'm wondering if it'll be here, is the ability to change the size of the indoor. We were told that we were aiming for 7.2, but it wasn't mentioned during the live letter. So wonder if they just had to push that back to something. They said they were aiming for 7.2. Not that it was in 7.2, but still. Warning message will not display on screen when entering a garden of an estate scheduled for... Oh, okay. That's nice, but still realistically, should just, if they're that close to the house, they might as well just, like, if the person is outside their house, they should be, the auto demolition should not occur, because that at least tells you that they're going to their house and using it. So if they're going to do this as the warning for auto demolition, they should just make it so if you're outside your house, you just take one step outside, just in the lawn, that the auto demolition gets turned off. They should just make that change altogether. New furnishings, you know, the job stones, cabinet, like the little chocobo trophy up there. Speaking of chocobos, chocobo fountain, some other stuff. New furnishings, not much of a housing guy, so you know, I can't really say a whole lot about this. Some cool looking stuff, you know, always more options is always better. New orchestrions, new aquarium fish, new flower pot seeds, the feature I literally forget about every time between patch notes. Gold saucer, new prizes. Interesting. I wonder what that is. Following additions have been made to Triple Triad, new cards, new NPCs. Yeah, this is all standard stuff. Field operations. Ooh. Oh, I guess that includes, yeah, Eureka and everything. Yeah, Eureka is just no longer part of its own. It's just part of the field operations. That makes sense. Nothing else really changing there, though. Probably going to have challenge logs for the new one, too, for Occult Crescent. Because it has such a similar system to Eureka, I assume that it'll also have very similar challenge logs as well. Following additions made to duty support, Underkeep, and Sunken Temple of Karn, of course. Wondrous Tales, they update the rewards, they add in some objectives, Underkeep and First Walk. Following duty roulette names have been adjusted. What in that? Like, I get it, because 60 and 70 aren't on the list, but what in the hell? What? Alright, sure. I thought they were trying to make the name shorter, not longer, but I guess I was wrong. I guess they really, really wanted the clarity for it. Okay. Primer for high-level duties to display has been adjusted. Players must reach the current level cap with at least one Disciple Board. Magic players must complete all the main scenario quests for the latest expansion. Okay. That makes sense, since they could be level 100 but not have the MSQ done, which means they can't do it. For 7.x, players must complete 7.0. Good thing they added that, because people were going to be like, does that mean I have to do 7.2? Following adjustments have been made to Fox Hollows. We have Hell's Kier Unreal, so we have Suzaku now, which is going to be a disaster, mind you. They even clarify how it actually works here. And a new mount. Good thing I have just barely over 600. I really like that mount. That is a sick mount from Fox Hollows. That's probably one of the best mounts that Fox Hollows has ever added. If I had to, like, rate them, because, like, some of them are reskins of, like, EX trial mounts, and, like, I'd say before this, the mining node was, like, a really big one for me. But that's a great mount. I love that. I might actually just keep that for myself. That thing's cool as hell. Nah, I'll probably sell one day one. Anyway. Oh, duty recorder, great. Anyway, new emotes. The Days emote, I guess that's what that is. Tome Scroll and Study have been added to the special tab of the emote window. Tome Scroll and Study are looping versions of the emote Tomestone and Read. Oh, nice. They're just adding looping versions. That's really cool. I like that. Following actions can now be queued for execution. People who do not do endgame content do not understand this at all. So when you when you press an ability in game, most abilities you can press them before your cooldowns or your global cooldowns become available, and it will queue the action for a brief period of time. So that way you're basically telling the server in advance, hey, I'm going to be using this action next. So it tries to basically make the MS latency between you executing, but between the global cooldown becoming available and the skill being registered is 0. It's trying to get it as close to 0 as possible, so it works exactly as you intend. However, sprint, food, and pots cannot be queued, so it means you have to wait till the previous action's cooldown window is done, which is where, like, if you have like 150 to 200 MS, when it like really delays you, end up clipping your GCD. That's similar in effect, because it's like waiting until that time is available and then taking the queued up action and then the follow-up period. It's a whole lot of interacting systems, but this just means that very rarely now will you press your pot or your sprint and it won't go off. You may have heard people using something like a sprint macro to try to limit how unresponsive it can be. Won't need that anymore. So, yeah, that's, thank God, dude. It's been so many years. Even the OCP was like, we have the technology. Underkeep, just the new dungeon for the MSQ. Item level sync has been added to the following duties: Center Valley, Strayborough, and Yuwata's at 7:30. For beginning a boss encounter in any dungeon prior to 7.0, a shortcut warp will take the player to the boss area's entrance. Oh, that's nice. That's something that they could have done ages ago. Glad they're doing it now. There's our girl Beatrix in the Recollection trial. There's normal. There's extreme. Expecting some, well, we already heard the song from the Mount, so the Roses of May version that we're getting sounds really, really good. Suzaku, again, Suzaku Unreal is going to be a disaster. The pull in and push out is going to be the big thing, but that's not the only thing. Trust me. Just doing the average requirement for Fox Hollows. Wings of Ruin and Wings of Resolve, that is from Zoral Jaw and Valgarmanda. You can now...
I will show you the world beyond. Greetings and goodbye. Do not be afraid. Death is not the end. We require ether. I will show you the world beyond. System overload. Aborting process. I will show you the world beyond. Greetings and goodbye. Do not be afraid. Death is not the end. We require ether. I will show you the world beyond. Nothing hunter. I will show you the world beyond.
exchange those for totems, and the drop rate is at its maximum value. We have the cruiserweight tier for the Arcadian. Not much to say here. This is all the explanation of how the loot works, the different, the hollow gauntlets, how the exchange works, where the exchange. We don't need to read all that. If you've ever done a normal or savage raid, this is all the exact same information. The only thing that's worth remembering is that the cruiserweight savage will be available on April 1st and not on March 25th. They're doing a 1-week delay. This is something they did in 6.2 and 6.4, and something they will be doing in 0.2 and 0.4 patches going forward. The expansion release will still probably be the 2-week delay followed by the 2-week delay. I don't see them changing that anytime soon. God, these bosses are going to be something else, man. Very interesting. Yeah, she's a flan. I don't know. I didn't figure that out. Like, I just didn't register today that she was a flan. Or that was her monster, as we saw on the thing. Yep, and then this is all the usual. Babyface, weapon coffer. Yep, this is just all the rules. We don't need to read this. If you've ever done normal or savage, it's all the same thing. Raid Finder is all the most recent Extreme Unreals and Savages. The old ones were moved to the Duty Finder. Echo is now available in Fiend's Burden, up to 25%. Juno, the First Walk, is having all its weekly restrictions removed. This is all, again, very standard stuff. Bonus EXP of... The bonus EXP received upon completing the following duties in Alliance Raid has been increased. Oh my god, they're boosted. Oh, it's specifically with the Alliance Raid roulette. So they just buffed the Alliance Raid roulette. Okay, cool. Yeah, because Aglaya is still, like, disgusting for leveling 90 to 100. I don't know why it works as well as it does or how they got the scaling on that to the point where they did. But this is specifically with the roulette. So the roulette's just really good. Oh, man, I had to open my stupid mouth. Well, not anymore. Aglaya is not going to be a leveling method. I disagree with this, with doing this as a whole, because Deep Dungeon is going to be the chief other leveling method that we have for 90 to 100, 91 to 100 in this expansion. And I would say Stormblood's leveling range is probably the worst one, and it has that same problem where its only alternative leveling method is Heaven on High. It's one of those problems that rears its head later for people who are just, leveling secondary jobs in those later points. Maybe it's not as bad now because we have so much bonus EXP. The amount that things like all the daily activities you can do have gotten a lot better. And there's a lot more daily activities you can do nowadays to level that maybe it won't be the same problem. But I think they should have just left it. Like, I get that it was as good as it was, and it was maybe a little too good, but it's one of those things I think we should just leave alone. The position of Cloud Dark Diamond Materia 2 in the list of items sold under Sublime Curiosities has been changed. Okay. Following adjustments have been made to Futures Rewritten to Ultimate. Oh yeah, it's got its item level cap now, and the weekly restriction is gone. That's normal. Our new capped tome is Mathematics. Same deal as our other capped tomes. This one's 450. The old heliometry is no longer capped and stores up to 2,000. Aesthetics are gone. Causality are entirely removed, so if you didn't exchange them up to aesthetics, then, that's gone. Comedy to be removed with patch 7.2 can be exchanged for Tomestones of Poetics until the start of maintenance. That's the same for both. And these can be exchanged after. So you probably want capped aesthetics, capped heliometry, if you plan on buying a bunch of crafting materials specifically. Let's see. And then this is just explaining it in words, so I'm not going to read it because I just explained all that. Oh, yeah. So the 0.2 patch is always where the Expert Roulette becomes the 2-dungeon Expert Roulette. Never been a fan of this. I think 3 dungeons should be the minimum for a roulette. Otherwise, call it Duty Coin Flip Expert. Because, I haven't agreed with this since it became a thing. Still don't. And I wasn't really thinking about it. I don't really do roulettes, but that's part of the reason why I stopped doing roulettes. Because there was only 2 dungeons in Expert, and that was the one I was doing every day, and I just didn't care. Not to mention, it's so easy to get tomes anyway. Level cap dungeon category has been added, and that's going to have Alexandria, Tender Valley, and Strayborough. And that makes sense, yeah, so that's just... We do get an extra roulette this patch as well with this, but, it's still, I would rather have more dungeons in our Expert Roulette. Recollection has been added to the Roulette Trials. Juno has been added to the Alliance Raids. Cruiserweight raids have been added to the normal raids. Mentor Roulette's gotten, Recollection, Underkeep, and all the Cruiserweight normals. This is just explaining all the Tomestone differences. Honestly, all it is a change in Tomestones, not really in a value. So again, as long as you know how they worked before, you know how they work now. This is just, any names that need to be updated and changed have been updated and changed. Same with PvP duties, same deal. There's not really much to say here. Number of Valiant Tomestones for defeating elite marks. Yeah, it's all the same. Yeah, it's all fluff, all fluff. Stone Sky Sea has the, new normal mode, savage, and extreme. Following adjustments have been made to the Sunken Temple of Karn. Yeah, I figured all 3 of the bosses were probably adjusted given the trusts. What in the hell? Oh, okay, never mind. I thought he was like in the machine. No, he's sitting on its back. This is the Series 8 PvP mount. Pretty cool. I might actually try to get that one. I like it. Crystalline Conflict Season 13 will end and Season 14 will begin. These are the new data centers for PvP. Crystal, Meteor, Chaos, and Materia. That's where you need to go if you want to do ranked queue. Tactical Crystal's movement speed is no longer increased if it is within a distance from the center point that is less than the opposing team's progress record. Okay. Losing team's clear progress speed is no longer increased at checkpoints. Following key bindings have been added, allowing for direct targeting of opposing players. That's nice. I really like that. Probably won't use it too much, but I do like that they're actually just straight up adding target enemy member number. Just if you can get used to it, it's gonna be way better off. Following adjustment made to battle high rating upon KOing. KO reduced from 10 to 8, and assist increased from 2 to 4. Ooh, nice. Secure is back, and then it has a full play guide explanation of Secure. The rating upon KOing. KO reduced from 10 to 8, and assist increased from 2 to 4. Ooh, nice. Secure is back, and then it has a full play guide explanation of Secure. Terrain has been adjusted, key locations have been adjusted, personnel displacement panels, the teleporters have been added when the Allegan stuff is in the center of the map. Amount of technical points awarded has been adjusted in accordance to the number of key locations. Players standing near the flag of key locations will be buffed the status Sheer Will. Yeah, that's when you're actually in the points to increase your damage dealt. Interceptor commander systems will now be deployed. This new enemy will use perimeter cannon, and by absorbing this attack, players may increase their rating and gain tactical points for the team. So you want to eat the AoE specifically to increase your... That's a very interesting way of doing it. Yeah, so you want to take these to raise your tactical rating, which means you want to push other players out of them and keep them out of them. That's an interesting way of doing it. Pattern of enemy appearances has been adjusted. Actions executed by interceptor drones and nodes has been adjusted. After defeating drones, the party that contributed the most damage will gain battle high rating for all its members. Holy moly, that's actually dope. When interceptor drones are deployed, an interceptor drone alpha may appear. Defeating these rare enemies will reward players more tactical points than regular interceptor drones. When the interceptor node's HP is reduced to 0, it will regain all of its HP up to 5 times. Wow. Each time its HP is reduced to 0, teams will be awarded tactical points according to their contribution. Visual and or audio effects have been added to the moments when tactical points are awarded for defeating monsters or successful navigating their attacks. That's really cool. They did a lot of work for security here. Frontline campaign window info has been added. Yeah, to let you know when things are actually deploying. Let me take a sip of this coffee. My sore throat is actually kicking up right now. New items, we've seen these already. These are the Final Fantasy 9 looking sets. You've got Wish.com Zidane, Freya, which I'm glad is a Fizz range. You know, the usual. We've been over these in a few other videos. The new recipes, which I think might actually be the most interesting new set of the things that we saw. These are the this is the crafted gear. I think the crafted gear was, for me, the best of the 3 sets that we've seen. So that still remains to be the point after seeing it again here. Dying interface has been adjusted. Following items now have 2 die channels. Honor Bound, Tenacity, Skull Render. Wow, okay. Quite a few items. Yeah, they're getting to more and more of them. Look at this. Look at all these new dual... Oh, look, the blade stuff. Yeah, the relics. The replicas. Oh, yeah, look at all that. The double die channels on the relics is going to make going back. Even the matte ones. Appreciate that. Yeah, this is something we have to look forward to for a little while with the dual channels. Is anytime that there's this. I mean, especially getting the relics is really cool. So, yeah, good. I honestly, I didn't even think to look for this in the patch notes. I wouldn't have even thought it was going to be a thing. But that's maybe just because I just never expect things to get updated. And then they do, and it's like I've completely forgotten about them. And I'm colorblind, so what do I know? Black feathered flat hat and red feathered flat hat now equipped regardless of gender. Following additions have been made to the dresser. Interesting. Creating an outfit glamour, the location in which each item gear piece was previously stored is now displayed in the log window. That's very useful. Following marks can now be displayed on the stored item icon. Outfit glamour, a mark indicating an item as part of an outfit glamour and has been saved as an outfit. Outfit glamour category has been added to the filter settings. Okay. Neo Kingdom gear can now be purchased in exchange for sacks of nuts. No surprise there. That's very normal. Certain items can now be sold desynthesized submitted. That's normal. Secondary attributes have been adjusted. My exquisite Zwill cross blades. Why would you bother changing? I guess because it was different from the original. The exquisite... so these are the The Criterion Savage weapons. And it's specifically the Viper and Picto ones. I don't know why they felt like they needed to do this, but okay. Description of certain pugilist arms have been updated to indicate that weapon appearance may take precedence over the hand gear. Oh, that's actually good, yeah, because some monk weapons just completely overwrite whatever you have on your hands, which to be expected because they are fist weapons. New miner and botanist points. New items have been added to gathering points. Locations have been adjusted in Yoctel for certain gathering points. An effect now displays when the collector's standard and collector's high standard statuses are activated. New fishing holes. Following fish can be caught using the
Greetings and goodbye. Do not be afraid. Death is not the end. We require ether. I will show you the world beyond. Greetings and goodbye. Do not be afraid. Death is not the end. We require ether. I will show you the world beyond. Let us rise up. I will show you the world beyond. Greetings and good health. Do not be afraid. Death is not the end. We require ether. I will show you the world beyond. Let us rise up. I will show you the world beyond. Deploying drone. Target area delineated. Commencing diversion. free in the world beyond. System overload. An error has occurred. Greetings and goodbye. Do not be afraid. Death is not the end. We require ether. I will show you the world beyond. Deploying drone.
The golden stonefly nymph bait. Okay. A feature to batch select required materials by quality has been added to the quality log. Oh, that's pretty cool. If you lack sufficient quantity of the required material, only the amount in your possession will be selected. That's cool. I like that. Level requirements for master crafting recipes have been removed for all the old ones. That's interesting. Level cap for desynthesis has been increased by 20. New mounts have been added. That's the Beatrix mount. We saw that one during the live letter. Mounts can now be summoned while moving. That was a really nice one. We saw that during the live letter as well. New Chocobo barding. That is almost certainly the EX trial barding. New minions have been added. We have the Beagle, new face wear. We have an eye patch and some goggles. And then we get into the system updates. Graphical adjustments have been made to player character models based on... I know what's going to follow this up then, because every time they... Yep. In conjunction with these adjustments, players can obtain a free file of Fantasia. Yeah, they're just giving away Fantasias every patch now while they make these adjustments. Yeah, so if you're watching this, remember that up until Tuesday, up until maintenance on Monday, technically, you can actually get a free Fantasia from that same Wandering Moogle in Old Gridania if you haven't done it yet. Only one. However, after patch, you'll be able to get another one. So be sure to go do that. Shadow quality has been adjusted. Following adjustments have been made to certain NPCs, model, texture resolution. Yeah, they told us they would gradually do this. Graphical details for the following gear have been improved. Oh, interesting. The Realm Reborn relics got a facelift. I'm very curious to see what those all look like. And here's all the artifact gear as well. Yeah, all the Realm Reborn stuff got some updates here. Interesting. And some other stuff as well. Lisa's leader, ship lord, commander, etc., etc. Vegetation of the following areas will now be rendered in high resolution. Oh, before, after. Okay. 3.x to 6.x areas, public areas, and duties. Okay. Yeah, more. They said they would be doing this. I just hadn't really thought of it. Following adjustments have been made to objects in fields and cities. More in after. Yeah, they're way busier in the after. Same here. Way more. Oh my God. So many more. Number of objects has been increased, polygon count increased, texture resolution increased in 3.x to 6.x, public areas, cities, and fields. No changes have been made to Western Highlands, Raktica, Greatwood, Tempest, or Ultima Thule. Those will probably be coming later. The number of shadows cast in rooms in the following areas have been increased, in the barracks, the battle hall, Yulmore, and certain instanced events. General action sprint now grants the jog effect once it expires. A more modest increase. This effect can be manually deactivated and expires when enmity is generated. Yeah, so it's not just in sanctuaries, it's just out of combat, which is what we weren't really clear about in the letter from the producer live, but now we know. Following additions and adjustments have been made to the actions and traits window. Display option to list actions by function. Oh, that's really good. By function. Yeah, that's good to just put them together based on if they do the same, like at least have somewhat of a similar, like increases quality or increases progress or something in that vein. Okay, I like that. Because I always just have to scroll through them all. I'm like, what the hell are these abilities called? Not that I do a lot of crafting, but still. New actions corresponding to targets marked with different signs have been added to the general tab. Oh, when multiple targets are marked using relevant actions, will cycle through targets numbered from lowest to highest. Oh, so you can like set a target as attack and then just press the attack target button. And then it'll, please continue to use macros for targeting specific numbered signs. Interesting. Yeah, but if you only have one, so if you mark them 1 to 5, it makes sense. Like thinking like the Mandragoras from treasure maps, for example. You click this and go to the first one, and then you click it and go to the second one, and click it and go to the third one. Yeah, that's interesting. This is definitely going to see some use, especially like even just for like marking something really basic, like, oh, just mark it as square or something, and then everyone knows to like bind square target and just like be able to quickly grab it instead of tap. Because sometimes tap targeting, especially on bigger enemies, it just doesn't work well. So yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. Duties category has been added. Duty action 1, duty action 2. Okay. In order to prevent server congestion, we've been implementing multiple field areas in Solution 9 Heritage Found and areas newly added in 7.2. Interesting. There are specifics for that. I assume it's just like some little interim area, or they're referring to the moon in some capacity for when we get to Cosmic Explo. Following additions and adjustments have been made to achievements. New achievement titles, achievements end titles have been added, and then of course the adding a whole bunch of stuff to like the tank achievements and stuff that happens every patch. Following additions and adjustments have been made to retainers. New items can now be obtained from quick exploration ventures. The guild currency symbol now appears next to the guild amount entrusted. All right, I didn't really think that was that important, but if you want it, sure. The exception of gear trade items are now displayed in the log window. Following online statuses will now also be displayed when display class or job icons with nameplate is selected. Hello, Ivy. Following additions and adjustments have been made to portraits. New accents have been added. Yeah, we get the, yep, there's the Fru one. There it is. Like, they knew what to show us, the new portrait accents for adventure plates. Jesus Christ, that is a fancy adventure plate for Fru. Goodness gracious. I'm not complaining, but God, that's very colorful. Holy Jesus. Not that I know what colors they are, but still. Well, I have that now. It's good. I'll take it. It's very pretty. Following additions and adjustments have been made to group pose. The depth of field effects has been adjusted. Will apply to, oh yeah, so you can like actually get a more candid shot. That's a really good looking G-pose picture right there. Values of all these numbers have been added to the depth of field slider. Default value has been changed from 5.6 to 2.5. The range of focal length parameters, dude, this is all gone so far over my head, bro. I just go to group pose and just like try to get a decent angle, and then I leave it all alone. I'm not a very group posy person. Patch logo frame has been updated with 7.2. Following adjustments have been made to the blacklist, so we knew they were going to be making some sort of adjustment due to the, I guess I call it a security breach to the way the system handled the information. In accordance with measures introduced in 7.2 to help prevent the identification of account IDs that are not displayed in game, relevant saved client data has been reset. That's a good thing. Just resetting every data that was already out there. I didn't think they were going to do that. That's a very good thing to have done. To have straight up reset all of those IDs, so that anything that was already pulled is effectively. So for those who missed it, there was a third party tool that was basically able to scan player IDs in the game, unrelated to your actual account information and your personal information, but it could find the identifying factor for your character, and then you could, use it to basically track people, what they were doing, where they're doing, even if you were blacklisted. In fact, the blacklist is what enabled it in the first place. So there's a whole compiled list of character IDs that was out there, and technically, even though the app, I think it was taken down, it was forked a bunch of times, so technically it was always out there. This is basically undone all of that. So anything that was done in that regard, if that's ever been a concern for you, at the very least, we've evened the playing field. Apologize for any inconvenience caused and ask for your understanding as we introduce these measures. Although information registered on the blacklist has been preserved, character blacklisted prior to 7.2 will now be displayed as character name could not be retrieved, and any saved comments will be deleted. As a result, players will no longer be able to distinguish between characters blacklisted prior. Yeah, that makes sense. If they're going to wipe the data, how would it know who it is? To have blacklisted character names displayed once more, please consider removing relevant characters and registering them again. I mean, as long as you know that the blacklist is still functioning, I guess it really just depends. Like, it only matters if you really want to unblacklist someone. And yeah, I mean, that's a big question mark. All information registered on the mute list has been deleted. 1 second, I need to check something real quick. Let's see. I just need to do something. Sorry, I know it's mid-recording, but my mornings have been let's just say they've been eventful and not in the most fun of ways. So I do need to take care of something real quick before I keep reading, which my voice does not appreciate. Well, I can do it simultaneously. Yeah, it's kind of annoying, but honestly, as long as the people you want to be blacklisted are still blacklisted, I guess that's all that really matters. But, it's still a little annoying. All information registered on the mute list has been deleted. Players will be unable to blacklist characters that were registered as contacts prior to 7.2. So, this lets you know that the data was reset. And it doesn't mention, like, here's the thing. It was never going to mention the measures themselves, but it doesn't say that measures were added, other than that first sentence. So, I guess they're just trying to keep the fact that they did something like as not upfront as possible, but given how much people like challenging updates to technology, probably a good idea. All right, all taken care of. Following text commands have been added. That's tome, scroll, and study. We were told about that. Dazed, I guess the name earlier. Cool. Following adjustments have been made to the data center travel system. Destination worlds are now listed in a random order. Okay, I guess alleviate system stress caused by players tending to select destination worlds from the top of the list. Okay. On the data center travel confirmation screen, the cursor is now positioned above the proceed button by default. Thank God. Additions have been made to the auto translation dictionary. Auto complete new trophies have been added to PS5. Achievements added to Xbox. Music, sound effects, and voices. Now loading text display when logging has been removed. Following additions and adjustments have been made to the launcher. Portion of design has been altered. The name of the Lodestone tab at the menu at the top of the launcher has been changed to Community. New backgrounds have been added. I don't know how to say this. All right, and that is the end of the patch notes. Now, I need to check one thing, because I thought for certain that I saw something on socials that I think I missed while I was reading through. Maybe I'm just imagining things, but no? Okay, I'm not sure. Yeah, I thought I saw something on socials that said something about Wondrous Tales that I don't see here. Following duty names have been adjusted. Yeah. Okay. Either way, I guess maybe I misunderstood and saw, because that was the only thing I had like spoiled beforehand. I scrolled through Twitter and I saw like one post that said something about Wondrous Tales. But yeah, that's it for the preliminary patch notes. As a reminder, we do not get job updates or any sort of buffs or nerfs listed in the preliminary patch notes, because waiting 3 more days is apparently sufficient enough so people don't start losing their minds. I know black mages out there are, well, let's just say it's not. They're on edge. I had a dark joke lined up, but I decided not to tell it. And that's not because they're black mage. Anyway, yeah, I know that they're a little bit antsy to find out exactly what's happening, to make sure they have the exact information that they want. But you'll have to wait till Monday to see it, because it's never in the preliminary patch notes. There's usually a few other things in the full patch notes as well, so I'll be going over those on Monday while the servers are down, and I'll have a video on that as well. But that is going to be a wrap for my overview on the patch 7.2 preliminary patch notes. I'm now going to, well, not rest my voice because I'm still streaming, but maybe not use it as much for the next little bit of time. So thanks for watching. I'll see all of you in the next one. And until then, take care.
While overseas, get 8-in-1 relief for cold and flu symptoms, including cough.
So we just got the newest live letter for patch 7.2, and with it came quite a lot of changes to Black Mage. We kind of knew already that Black Mage would be getting buffs, but the way it's coming around is controversial to say the least. In the recent live letter, Yoshi P was showing off the first fight of the Arcadian Cruiserweight tier, and we got to see him play Black Mage partially in the encounter. So I'll just play the footage so you can see for yourself.
さあさあ動き出しましたがどうなるのなんだろうどうそうかな動いたってことはほうああなるほど判明いきましたねまた半分なるほどね華麗に避けましたね分かってる素晴らしい分かってるいや
So, what did we see in that video? There's a lot to take in. The first immediate thing that people started noticing is that there is no timer on Astral Fire anymore. So it looks like managing Enochian is no longer part of Black Mage gameplay. This is a huge design shift, as managing your Enochian timer by using Fire 4s, followed by Paradox or Fire 1, and then finishing your Fire phase with more Fire 4s and Despair, has been a core gameplay element for the last several years. We can also see that he just used ley lines, and it's a 20-second buff rather than a 30-second buff. Tooltip confirmation later in the broadcast confirmed that the cast time reduction is still 15%. As we play through the opener, Yoshi P's GCDs seem extremely fast, and we see that his Fire 4 hardcast and ley lines has a cast time of about 1.47 seconds. This is extremely fast. So it looks like Fire 4 is now a faster cast. We'll get back to that as well. Going through the opener, Despair also seems to still be an instant cast as he uses it and it doesn't consume a triple cast charge. Mana Font as well looks like it stays at 100-second cooldown. Yoshi P uses Flare Star, and we can see that the cast time is actually the same as the Ley Lines hasted Fire 4. So we can infer that Fire 4 and Flare Star have the same cast time under Ley Lines and therefore the same cast time overall. Later in the broadcast, Yoshi P actually hovers over the Flare Star tooltip, and we can see that it has been buffed from 400 potency to 500 potency, and its base cast time is 1.77 seconds at his GCD, meaning it has a base of 2.0 seconds. This is a huge buff. The non-standard gameplay that revolved around shorter lines and not using Flare Star is greatly nerfed from this Flare Star buff. Additionally, based on a Blizzard 4 tooltip shown later in the broadcast, and the fact that Blizzard 4 and Fire 4 have historically always shared the same raw potency, it can be inferred that Fire 4 was also nerfed to 300 potency to compensate for the reduced cast time. Of note, 2 seconds base cast time is not enough to weave after the cast. It's similar to White Mage's Medica, you will still clip a little bit if you try and weave after that. But on reducing the spell cast duration, I think this is a move towards homogenization to be like Pictomancer. I think part of the allure to Black Mage, at least for me, is that you have long cast times and can act like a turret. So I'm a little disappointed that they're going in this direction.
You make good choices.
Speaking of time, we can actually look at Yoshi P's buff bar and see another interesting thing. there is no longer a timer on the Thunderhead and Firestarter buffs, meaning they will stay on you perpetually. I actually really like this for Thunderhead, but I still think it's buff bloat and they can just get rid of it and let you dot whenever you want. I'm not really sure why they are maintaining this buff. We can also see Yoshi P transposed to Umbral Ice and cast Blizzard 4, which of course is also a faster cast. The 2500 MP gain from casting Blizzard 4 in Umbral Ice 1 stays, but you can also see that he uses Paradox in Umbral Ice 1 and it doesn't give a stack of Umbral Ice. He stays in Umbral Ice 1. It stands to reason that it will behave a similar way in Astral Fire, but we don't know for sure. So yeah, a lot of changes to go through. Firstly, no Astral Fire or Umbral Ice timers. Managing the Umbral Ice and Astral Fire timer is a core part of Black Mage, but I can see how it can be frustrating for new players. By making the casts faster though, I feel like it kind of removes the need for the timer quite a bit, so maybe that's why they got rid of it. But I'm not 100% sure. I'm interested in what you guys think the reason why they removed the Enochian timer is, so let me know in the comments. Also, with ley lines being a 20-second duration now, I'm thinking Retrace might also have a shorter cooldown, but I don't think Yoshi P used it during the live letter, so we'll have to wait for the patch notes to confirm. One big change as a result of the reduced cast time of Fire 4 and Flare Star is that you no longer have a damage benefit from instant casting these spells. Previously, with the cast time of 2.8 seconds and 3 seconds respectively, when you instant cast these spells, they went to 2.5 seconds each, so you would actually be saving time and therefore gaining DPS. But now, since the cast is lower than the recast, you aren't gaining any more time. Instant casting these spells will simply be for movement. Slide casting will also be a lot easier with the updated casting times, making movement even easier than before. My thought is that Square Enix thinks that the long cast times and potentially dropping Enochian were discouraging players from picking up the job, so they lowered the barrier to entry by lowering the cast times and got rid of the timer as a way to increase popularity of the job. Personally, I like the long cast times, but let me know what you think in the comments on this. It's definitely a divisive change. If I'm being honest, I don't think the Enochian timer change is a huge deal for seasoned Black Mage players, since managing the timer was second nature for a lot of us and rarely, if ever, dropped. This can actually potentially be a good change for moments where you go down for the count, like in Ultimates. Rather than transposing into Ice and having to Umbral Soul to get to max mana, if you're in the middle of a fire phase, you can just stop where you are and start the next phase with whatever mana you have left over. Another thing coming out of the Enochian timer removal is I think they're going to buff Paradox to be stronger than Fire 4. Right now, Fire 4 is 320 times 1.8 equals 576 potency in Astral Fire 3, and Paradox is 520 potency. With soft confirmation that Fire 4 is now 300 potency based on the Blizzard 4 tooltip, Fire 4 will be 520 potency in Astral Fire 3, and it seems weird for Fire 4 and Paradox to be the same potency. So I believe they're going to buff Paradox, so the net result will be Paradox being a gain over Fire 4. Now let's talk about Thunderhead. I like the no timer on Thunderhead, but I've also been an advocate for Thunderhead to be removed. I still think I'd prefer that they just let us cast Thunder whenever we want, and just get rid of the buff entirely. On Firestarter proc length, I honestly feel a little bit indifferent about it, but there were moments if you were doing really long sequences and spending a lot of Xenos that you would lose your proc, so I guess this just helps alleviate situations like that. Now, one of the interesting changes that they did is not having Paradox give a stack of Umbral Ice. They didn't show it in the live letter, but I assume it's a similar case for giving a stack of Astral Fire as well. That is, if Paradox is used in Astral Fire 1, will it keep you in Astral Fire 1 and not take you to Astral Fire 2? This actually has implications on quite a bit of non-standard Black Mage gameplay. For example, there were lines that took advantage of Paradox in Astral Fire 1, taking you to Astral Fire 2 to use a Fire 3 proc, or a Despair, at an increased potency. If Paradox does not take you to Astral Fire 2, this reduces the value of those transpose lines considerably. Also, since you don't get a stack in Umbral Ice anymore, the non-standard line with Swiftcast Blizzard 3 is now not possible since you don't get enough mana to finish the fire phase. This also means that the recovery line where you emergency transpose into Umberlice 1, then use Paradox to take you to Umberlice 2, then Blizzard 1 to get to Umberlice 3, and then using Blizzard 4.
the end. Greetings and goodbye. Do not be afraid. Death is not the end. We require each other. I will show you the world beyond. Let us rise up. I will show you the world beyond. System overload. Aborting process. I will show you the world beyond. Greetings and goodbye. Do not be afraid. Death is not the end. We require ether. I will show you the world beyond. Let us rise up. I will show you the world beyond. Disintegrate. Greetings and goodbye. Do not be afraid. Death is not the end. We require ether. I will show you the world beyond. Let us rise above. I will show you the world beyond. Deploying drone. alert. Aborting process. I will show you the world beyond. System overload. An error has occurred. Religions. Goodbye. Is everyone. Your ego will soon perished. I will show you the world beyond. Turn force. One.
Guys, and welcome to a Hector Lecture guide to the new Endsinger's Aria Extreme fight in Final Fantasy XIV. This guide's going to break down all of the major mechanics that you'll see throughout the fight. First off, the boss is going to use Elegia Unforgotten. This hits for pretty heavy raid-wide damage, so mitigate and heal up before 2 planets are spawned. These will either be red or blue with a ring around them. If you get the blue ring planets, just as in normal mode, one of these will move slow and one of these will move fast. The planets will collide about a 90-degree clockwise from the slow planet. In this case, we can see that the one at B is moving slow, it moves towards A, and when these collide, they provide a knockback. You may not have noticed, but when Elegia went off, a head also spawned facing in a direction. At the same time that the planets collide, this head is going to cleave in a 180-degree angle, so make sure you're not anywhere on the same side as the head is facing. Immediately afterwards, the boss is going to cast Elegia Unforgotten again, hit with that heavy raid-wide damage, and spawn the other type of planets. If you had blue first, this time you're going to get the red planets. These act just like normal mode. At the end they collide, but be aware there's also a head facing a direction. Make sure that you're not in front of that head while also dodging the planets. After this is Catasterismo. This spawns 8 towers in 2 columns. Players at the end of this need to be stood in the towers to prevent everybody in the party from taking heavy damage and a Volt stack. Before we can soak these towers, though, the boss will cast Grip of Despair and tether every tank and healer with a DPS. Simply stack up middle, and then have everybody run to their east and west, with tanks and healers going one side and DPS going the other. This will break the tower tethers and give you time to soak your towers. Hop into your towers, and while soaking them, be aware that the boss is casting Elenkos. This is going to be the same mechanic you've seen from normal mode, which either cleaves in the middle, which is seen by the boss having its mouth open and sucking in ether around it, in which case soak your towers on the side of the towers. Or if you had instead gotten the boss crying, this means that the boss is about to cleave on the sides, so soak your towers while in the middle. We're going to see Elenkos used throughout the fight, so keep your eyes peeled for when the boss is casting it. Telos is next, and this is just a standard raid-wide to mitigate and heal through. And then Hubris targets both of the top 2 aggro players with a heavy, hard-hitting tank buster. You need to make sure that both your first and second in aggro are tanks. So make sure that both tanks have tank stance on, and if one tank dies, they need to make sure they provoke so they're also still second in aggro. Be aware this also cleaves in a small radius around them, which is quite easy to see. We then get another Elegia Unforgotten. Heal and mitigate through the raid-wide damage, and deal with this exactly the same as before. At the end of this, though, the boss is going to start casting Aranea and target both healers with a stack marker. Just spread out from each other into light parties and soak them as. Afterwards, the boss will now cast Fatalism. Both the planets that just were destroyed and another pair the exact same type are going to be brought back and are going to repeat their explosion. Start middle. Dodge the first set you see respawning, and then immediately move opposite to the other side to dodge the set that's about to spawn as well. These can either be combos of red planets or combos of blue planets. As soon as this finishes, the boss will cast Elenkos, so dodge accordingly. Next up is Twin Songs Aporia. For this, the boss spawns 5 heads, with the one in the middle having a very clear arrow. Immediately dodge opposite the way the arrow is pointing, and as Aporia Unforgotten is cast, 2 of the heads on the outside are going to have donuts, and 2 will have point-blank AoEs. Dodge into whichever donut is not on the side the head is facing, because the head is going to cleave in that direction. Afterwards, this will always be the same. The head is going to rotate clockwise 90 degrees, and so is the pattern of donuts and AoEs. So you can simply just always rotate clockwise to deal with the next 2 combos. And again, one more time. To finish, the boss is now going to tether each of these heads and cast Theological Fatalism. While tethering them, they are either going to have 1, 2, or 3 rings. This ring tells you how many mechanics backwards the boss is about to rewind. What this means is that those heads that have 1 ring are going to do the mechanic they just did. Those with 2 rings are going to rewind back an extra step and do the one they did 2 ago. And finally, the head with 3 rings is going to rewind all the way back to the very first mechanic that it did. A simple way to remember this is if you stay put at the end of this, both the space you're on and the space opposite you, those heads will be safe if they have 1 or 3 rings. Any of the other heads will be safe if they've got 2 rings. Now, that
Utterly futile. We have seen the end. The same end. Again and again. utterly futile. utterly futile. We have seen the end. The same end. Again and again. We have seen the end. The same end. Again and again. If this was not the answer, then what is it? Where lies happiness?
要快速缓解头痛 ，Panadol Can。背痛呢 ，Panadol Can。但
Hi guys, and welcome to a Hector Lecture Guide to the fight of the Voidcast Days Extreme. This is Golbez. For this fight, before you begin, you're going to want to agree clock spots with your group. As you only need these for spreads, it's entirely up to your group how you want to do these. There's no rhyme or reason as to how you need to be spread. You're also going to want light parties, with 1 tank, 1 healer, and 2 DPS. You should have a north light party and a south light party. Within your light parties, you also want to be able to split them into groups of 2 at different times. For that, tanks and melee stay middle, healers and range go out towards the edge. There are also going to be several times where your light parties are going to have to get into position while moving. You should have a north light party and a south light party. Within your light parties, you also want to be able to split them into groups of 2 at different times. For that, tanks and melee stay middle, healers and range go out towards the edge. There are also going to be several times where your light parties are going to have to get into position while moving through the boss or towards a wall. For that, you should have a priority system for whichever way you're going, which light party goes which direction. I'm here showing that if you're going through the boss, you can have the group 1 go left and group 2 go right. And for the same thing, but if you need your partner stacks, just have the healers and range go further out. Finally, a single mechanic is going to require you to split into your roles, so you just need to know agreed role stack positions. The most standardly found version of this is tanks in the north, DPS in the south, and healers to either east or west, whatever's easier. The fight begins with the boss casting Terror Storm. This is going to have 2 giant meteors spawn on 2 of the intercardinals diagonally opposite each other. These will slowly move towards their corners, and the group just needs to adjust to not be in those corners. Doesn't matter which one you go to. The boss will cast Lingering Spark. Make sure that you stay put after the meteors explode, because Lingering Spark drops a puddle underneath every player. Wait until the cast bar finishes, and then move to dodge it. The boss will then cast Phases of the Blade. This is going to cleave in corners. Doesn't matter which one you go to. The boss will cast Lingering Spark. Make sure that you stay put after the meteors explode, because Lingering Spark drops a puddle underneath every player. Wait until the cast bar finishes, and then move to dodge it. The boss will then cast Phases of the Blade. This is going to cleave in front of them, similar to normal mode, but then immediately afterwards you need to move through as there's a back cleave. The boss will cast Binding Cold, which serves as the raid-wide for this fight. Be aware that Binding Cold also comes with a kinda spicy Frostbite dot. Just make sure that if anybody's super low that you top them up before this dot gets them all the way down. Next one's a pretty tricky one. This is Gale Sphere. Gale Sphere is similar to normal mode, going to have the boss spawn 4 clones, which jump off to different directions. Unlike normal mode, where it was either clockwise or counterclockwise, these have a different pattern. The first 2 will always go north and south, though which one they go to first of those 2 is random, and the 3rd and 4th will always go east-west. Again, between the 2 of them, totally random. Orbs are going to appear, showing for each side which line AoEs are going to shoot out. With this particular pattern, first it's going to be the ones in the north, then the ones in the south, then the west, and then the east. Because of how the clones spawn, you only need to remember the first clone that spawned and the 3rd clone that spawned to be able to know all 4 of them in the order in which you need to dodge them. Move to avoid the first set of AoEs. Before the second set goes off, the boss will cast Arctic Assault. These are those ice spikes that you'll have seen in normal mode. You need to make sure you both dodge the second set of orbs and are in a safe spot from this. Dodge the 3rd set of orbs, coming from the west this time. And then dodge the east set of orbs. Note that these last set are always going to be north then south or south then north. These are the only possibilities, and you only have to go so far as to just outside of the boss's hitbox, really, to be able to avoid them. At the very end, the boss will cast another Phases of the Blade, so make sure that you dodge behind, and remember to go through to the front afterwards. Next is Void Meteor. This is a dual hitting tank buster that targets both of the top 2 players in aggro, so make sure your off tank is second in aggro. This is multi-hit tank buster. It's going to hit 4 times with a weak, small cleave AoE before the 5th one that hits very hard. That's the one you need to be worried about. The boss will now cast Asdaja's Shadow. No cutscene this time. Instead, the sword becomes infused, and this is followed immediately by Black Fang, which serves as an ultimate attack, heavy raid-wide damage, so make sure to shield and mitigate. From this point onwards, every time the boss casts Adaja's Shadow, they're both going to empower their sword, but there's going to be a tell you need to look for. There's always going to be rings emanating from the boss, but if these are small, say they're only about the size of the boss's hitbox, this is signifying that the boss is storing a specific type of attack. In particular, if you see small circles growing out of the boss, this is a point-blank AoE or out that will always be accompanied with light party stacks. The boss is not going to do this immediately, this is stored for later. If instead, you see the circles emanating and they're almost the size of the entire arena, these significantly larger circles, they may look similar, are signifying a completely different type of attack. Instead, if you see the larger circles, this is a donut AoE or in that's always going to be accompanied with every player having a spread bar. Let me show you the out and light party stacks first. Be aware that in addition to empowering the boss, Adaja's Shadow also comes with a unique tank buster. The top player in aggro is going to get 3 hits of a tank buster. These need to be mitigated as they hit quite hard. Every hit gives 1 stack of a debuff. If any tank gets 3 stacks of that debuff, they're going to die. This kills even through invuln. It's like a thrice comes ruin. So, at some point in time, your off tank needs to provoke. Whether or not they do this after the first hit or after the second hit is entirely up to you. You can decide what you want to do mitigation-wise, but you need to make sure that no tank takes all 3 hits. The boss is now going to immediately face towards the player and cast Phases of the Shadow. This is like before, the front cleave and then the back cleave, but it's going to be followed by the 2 stored mechanics afterwards. So we dodge behind, we dodge to the front, and we want to start getting out of the hitbox, because we're going to get our light party stacks. The out goes off, and then shortly after the stacks. You can slide in if you want to get your melee's uptime, or the stacks are so large your melees can just move in after the out and they can reach. Let's look at the other possible pattern. If instead you get the large circles, reminder, this means that you're going to get an in and spreads. Deal with the tank buster exactly as I described previously. This time, when Phases of the Shadow is cast, dodge behind, wait for the first cleave, dodge through, stay in the hitbox, move near to your spread position, but don't actually leave the hitbox yet. The in's pretty slow. Now head out and spread.
Expect no mercy. To destroy you, I shall bring my all to bear. Come, warriors from beyond the rift. oppose our crusade, then come. But know that none shall deny us salvation. This place shall be your tomb. Let lightning surge! I will free us from the wheel! A raging gale to rend you asunder! Where my rime-kissed blades! I will suffer no obstacles. No matter the foe, I will stay the course. Such is your power. Come forth, my servant of shadow! With abyssal dark and hero's blade, I bring my people liberation! You shall know true terror! Dragon, hear me and obey. Crush them! Bathe them in black flame! My meteors will extinguish your light! You wretch! If you would oppose our crusade, then come. But know that none shall deny us salvation. This place shall be your tomb. Let lightning surge! I will free us from the wheel! raging gale to rend you asunder. Where my rime-kissed blades? I will suffer no obstacles. No matter the foe, I will stay the course. Such is your power. Come forth, my servant of shadow. With abyssal dark and hero's blade, I bring my people liberation. You shall know true terror. Dragon, hear me and obey. Crush them! Bathe them in black flame! My meteors will extinguish your light! You wretch! Come forth, my servant of shadow! My power. Even my blade. So, this is the limit of my defiance.
No matter your age, the right nutrition nourishes your skin from the inside out. Take Centrum Women.
Warning, this video is going to have full spoil.
Hi everyone, welcome to the visual guide for Warcore Lardor Extreme, where we face off against the fierce Valley Garmonda. This is the first Extreme trial made available in Final Fantasy XIV Dawntrail. My name is Ms. Tech and I'll be your trial guide. Before we begin, players will need to determine pair partners and light party groups. Ideally, you'll want melees paired with tanks and ranged players paired with healers. Each pair will have a specific spot to stack together based on the mechanic, and these waymarkers are used to facilitate that throughout the encounter. The encounter will begin with Spike Sickle. Multiple blue lines will flash across the platform in a pattern that will either begin on the left or the right side of the platform. Players will need to watch carefully to identify where the first blue line appears, and then move to the opposite edge of the platform in preparation for the barrage of ice. Ice spikes will shoot across the platform, over the same pattern that was indicated by the blue lines. At the same time, each attack will also deposit an extra ice boulder on the edge of the platform that will soon explode in a wide circle. To handle this, players can wait for the second or third ice spike to shoot past them before moving back towards the center. Using the boss's hitbox arrow as a guideline, you can overshoot the center a bit here, opposite the side you came from, to wait out the first two ice boulder explosions. Once those go off, the center of the platform, right on the tip of the arrow marker, will be safe from the rest of the explosions. Carefully place your character there to wait out the rest of the mechanic. The boss will then cast Sky Ruin, and this volcano marker will appear, indicating the start of the fire mini-phase. This cast will deal high damage and place a 12-second fire debuff on all players as well, so healers be ready. Tri-Scourge will deal more raid-wide damage and place ice, fire, and lightning scourge debuffs on players that will resolve later in the mini-phase based on their timers. The timers are dependent on the players' role group and generally can be ignored for now.
Warning, this video is going to have full spoilers for the new trial featured in patch 6.2 for Final Fantasy XIV and its extreme version. Don't watch any further if you've not wanted to get spoiled on this fight. Hi guys, welcome to a Hector Lecture Guide to the Storm's Crown Extreme. This is Barbarecia. Before you begin this fight, you want to make sure that you've split your group into light parties, and also that you've agreed clock positions. Make sure your clock positions have an alternating tank healer DPS pattern. At the beginning of the fight, the first mechanic you're going to see is Void Arrow 4. This is a raid wide that should be heal, shield, and mitigate through. Afterwards, the boss is going to teleport towards middle, and when doing so, you're going to see untelegraphed raid wides come out. These are very common in this phase when Barbarecia has her sword, so keep an eye out for them. The first mechanic you'll see is Savage Barbary. The boss faces a random direction, and arrows point towards the direction where she's about to throw her sword. Just like in normal mode, this comes with two possibilities, but the tell is a little bit harder to see. If she has her sword down to the side, that means she's going to do a donut followed by the sword exploding where it lands. If instead she has the sword up in the air, that means she's going to do a line AoE in the direction she's facing, followed by the sword exploding where she throws it to. To deal with either of these, there's a real simple pattern. As soon as she spawns and you see the arrows for where the sword's going, move two possibilities. The first DPS pattern. At the beginning of the fight, the first mechanic you're going to see is Void Arrow 4. This is a raid wide that should be heal, shield, and mitigate through. Afterwards, the boss is going to teleport towards middle, and when doing so, you're going to see untelegraphed raid wides come out. These are very common in this phase when Barbarecia has her sword, so keep an eye out for them. The first mechanic you'll see is Savage Barbary. The boss faces a random direction, and arrows point towards the direction where she's about to throw her sword. Just like in normal mode, this comes with two possibilities, but the tell is a little bit harder to see. If she has her sword down to the side, that means she's going to do a donut followed by the sword exploding where it lands. If instead she has the sword up in the air, that means she's going to do a line AoE in the direction she's facing, followed by the sword exploding where she throws it to. To deal with either of these, there's a real simple pattern. As soon as she spawns and you see the arrows for where the sword's going, move opposite where the arrows are pointing. If you see the sword down, go in the hitbox. If the sword is pointing up, go out of the hitbox. That's it. This will always dodge both of the hits. Immediately afterwards, Barbarecia is going to cast Hair Raid. Unlike in normal mode, this can come in 4 different versions. First off, you need to look visually at her to see if she's going to do the cleave like in normal mode or a donut. If she's leaning forward, that means she's going to dash towards her sword and then do a cleave afterwards. So when you see that, get ready to run towards her side as there's going to be the cleave. If instead you see her float in the air and seem to beckon the sword back towards her, the sword's going to come to her and she's going to do another donut AoE. Stay where you are and do your mechanic there. Now that's only 2 versions. The reason I say 4 is because both of these combinations can come either with light party stacks or with spreads. Let's see how we'd resolve all 4 different possibilities. If we need to stay inside for the donut, and we have our light party stacks, we simply have group 1 go left facing the sword and group 2 go right facing the sword. You can also use fixed positions if you want to, but I find sword relative easier. If you need to, go towards where the boss is dashing with the stacks. As soon as you see the boss lean forward, run towards the sides and just make sure group 1 go left facing her, group 2 go right. Trickier is when you have to deal with the spread AoEs. First, here's how you deal with spreads in the donut. Wait inside the boss's hitbox, roughly towards your clock position. Be careful. The AoE for the donut goes off not on the cast bar, but on the animation. So when you see the donut AoE hit, that's your cue to slide out towards your spread position and take your spread out there. Finally, the trickiest one. What if you have to hug the side of that cleave she does, and also deal with your spread AoEs? The trick is to dodge the cleave first, then deal with the spread. Try to have your group roughly spread in its light parties for the cleave. Be aware that that cleave does not allow you all the way towards the next cardinal. You can only go about to the next position. Wait inside the boss's hip of all 4 different possibilities. If instead you see her float in the air and seem to beckon the sword back towards her, the sword's going to come to both of you reside for the group here. If you need to, go towards where the boss is dashing with the stacks. As soon as you see the boss lean forward, run towards the sides and just make sure group 1 go left facing her, group 2 go right. Trickier is when you have to deal with the spread AoEs. First, here's how you deal with spreads in the donut. Wait inside the boss's hitbox, roughly towards your clock position. Be careful. The AoE for the donut goes off not on the cast bar, but on the animation. So when you see the donut AoE hit, that's your cue to slide out towards your spread position and take your spread out there. Finally, the trickiest one. What if you have to hug the side of that cleave she does, and also deal with your spread AoEs? The trick is to dodge the cleave first, then deal with the spread. Try to have your group roughly spread in its light parties for the cleave. Be aware that that cleave does not allow you all the way towards the next cardinal. You can only go about to the next intercardinal, really. If you look at where H1 and H2 are positioned, only slightly further out than that. I recommend having it spread tanks, melees, ranged, healer. Your melees and your range can more or less be stacked on each other, and once the cleave goes out, then have your range slide out, and your melees move back to avoid spreading on top of each other. Whichever combination you get, after you get one, you're always going to get the same thing again, exactly the opposite. So if the first time she did the donut, this time she's guaranteed to do the line AoE. If the first hair raid had you spreading along the sides of the cleave, this time it's going to be stacks with the donut. It will always be the opposite of the first thing you had for all 3 possible mix-ups. There's another Void Arrow 4 raid wide to heal and mitigate through. And we get our first Tank Buster. Void Arrow 3 is a cleaving Tank Buster that targets the main tank. They need to take it with cooldowns, and it forces a swap, because anybody inside of the Tank Buster's AoE gets an arrow vuln up. Make sure your off-tank is not near it, and make sure they provoke on the cast to avoid your main tank dying to the next auto. Next up is Teasing Tank.